All right, I wanted to start today's presentation with my favorite quote, and I think it fits in to today's presentation, that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children. So today, the children of Bent Tree who've been participating in the Nature Explorer program are featured in videos and some of their things they've produced there and helping to deliver our message today. So I think you'll enjoy it. I also need to point out that I forgot my little clicker thing. So I am going to be running this, and I started to ask somebody to run the slides for me, but they're a little more complicated because of the video. So y'all be patient with me. The first time I've put video and slides, and hopefully it goes well. So anybody here for the first time? Anybody who's never been to a Lake and Wildlife meeting before? Great, thanks for coming. If you wouldn't mind standing up, tell us who you are and how long you've been in Bent Tree and what street you live on.
Okay, Charlie and Sue Lyle. Here in February, we live on Tamarack Drive.
Awesome, thank you, Charlie and Sue Lyle. Well, thanks for coming. Everybody make a point to say hello if you don't know them, and give them a good Lake and Wildlife welcome. Oh, we have another one. Okay, sorry.
Hi, I'm Sandra Stewart, and I'm not actually living up here yet, but I will be in January. I'm on the Purple Oak Trail. And,
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks for coming. We look forward to you being here full time. We have a board report. Mr. Kahn, you ready?
Good morning, all. I will keep this short. I don't want to get in the Bob Coleman bad list, so boss always likes me in and out of here quick. We had before we even talk about when we had our board meeting, which was May 23rd, on Friday's news yesterday, it was a very important point put out, a little paragraph. The survey that we have worked very hard on, and general manager and staff has worked on, has been mailed. And it is very important that we get a lot of responses. This is asking questions about what you want the future of your community to be in a number of different areas. Please encourage everybody to respond. As an incentive, I think he's throwing out a $20 gift certificate, but that's beside the point. Very important that we get the response. The board is very eager and hungry for your input. We would like to have some direction from the community. Don't leave it up to 9 people. So please respond. Our board meeting was on May 23rd. A number of small issues that we always discuss, whether it's lot consolidation or things of that nature that are kind of just fundamental. But on a couple of things that we did do, we've made some changes to our banking so that we can have consolidate our accounts into sweep accounts, which will generate a higher rate of interest on our money that sits in the bank. Again, we're always looking for ways to increase revenue so that we don't have to continue raising, assessments. So that was very important. It's been going on discussion for a while, and we've now moved to those sweep accounts. We brought up a couple of issues for discussion, and they were discussion only. And you've seen mention of them or heard of cell towers. When our new general manager came in, we have the cell tower, and he pulled the contract, and it was written in '92 and extends through 2047. And that generates all of $8,800 a year. The new contract that he has negotiated will be generating $24,000 a year. So for a 10-year period, then it'll be renegotiated at that point. So again, I feel very confident in his abilities to improve Bent Tree, and the board is very much supportive of Jim. We also talked in terms of a discussion point about Club Tamarack and possibly building a bar there, so for the people that eat there and would have access to it for pool. Again, these are points for discussion. So the meetings are videotaped. Please watch them. Interest, please have feedback to the board. That's what it's there for. Send in your comments. And that is it from the board.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so this afternoon, I want to announce, so Barbara, you're here, right? Where'd you go? Yes, we have a special children's program for, that Huff is putting on, I think, relative to fishing, right? What time is that? 2 o'clock. Is Huff here? Oh, okay, I didn't even see you. There he is. Okay, 2 o'clock at the Nature Center. Is that right? Okay, so if you have young ones or neighbors that are young ones or grandchildren or anybody, 2 o'clock, talking about fishing in Lake Tamarack.
Good morning. I think June is survey month in Bent Tree. In addition to the Bent Tree survey that's getting ready to take place, if you read the May Echo, Dara and I had an article about an upcoming deer survey that's fixing to take place. And it's being conducted by the University of Georgia. There's a graduate student by the name of Shane Bone. He's working on his master's, and this survey is to help him put together best deer management practices. Bent Tree and one other community are involved. But anyway, our survey, the deer survey, is going to take place in about 2 weeks. They're going to, the survey, it's about a 5-page survey. They're going to mail them out between the 12th and the 14th of June, so you should be getting them shortly afterwards. And there's one survey going to each household. So when you get it, please take a look at it. It'll take, 15, 20 minutes for you to go through and really give it a good assessment. But give it your best. All they're asking for is, what is Bent Tree's feeling, experience with the deer, whether you like them or you don't like them or you don't care. Just be honest. And all of that information goes to UGA. This graduate student is going to be putting the results together, and the end product is recommendations on customized deer management that's available to communities, and it'll also help DNR. So be looking for that survey. Hopefully you'll have the Bent Tree survey completed, and you'll be all primed up for a different survey. So, yeah. A couple other things. If you go by the beach, you'll notice there's 2 beacons out there that have appeared in the last week, and they're not helicopter landing lights. They are goose deterrent beacons. The theory is, and there's 101 different gadgets out there available for controlling geese. But the theory is these beacons come on at dusk. They're solar operated. Come on at dusk, and if the geese tend to come and want to get on shore and sleep there, the beacon comes on every 3 seconds, and the beacon disturbs the geese and they leave. They don't like sleeping with a beacon in their eyes. They're all eye level. And if they leave, chances are they won't come back during the day. Now that's the theory, and it's guaranteed. They want us to try them out for 90 days, and if we're not satisfied, then within the next 30 or 60 days, we send them back. And they're $400 each, so we want to make sure nobody tampers with them. And I haven't seen any activities around the beach, people fooling with them. But anyway, just be aware that we're trying to control the geese. And to my knowledge, there hadn't been a goose on that island in a week, or a cougar, or a raccoon, or a bear, or anything. So anyway, we're working on controlling the geese. Feral hogs, there was a report this week that there was a pack of about 11 that were seen up on near Denny Ridge. And so anyway, Michael Corey is aware of it, and we're looking at that. Not sure what needs to be done, if anything, right now, but 11 pigs can turn into 60 or 70 in a short period of time, so we are taking a look at that. The last thing is our eastern wild turkey is in decline, and that's what we have here is the eastern wild turkey. And over the last few years, DNR has shortened the hunting season. They've reduced the limit because not only in Georgia but all over the country, the wild turkeys are losing habitat. Predators are taking a lot of them, and then a lot of bad weather. So anyway, DNR is doing a poult survey. So if you see any turkeys with the young ones, the poults, make a note of it, when you saw it, how many, etc. Send me an email or a text, and I'll get that information back to DNR. Has anybody seen any poults? Okay, good. So we do have some.
Any other announcements? Deb. Deb is Mary Ada Kids' other half now in terms of fundraising for Bent Tree. So welcome aboard, Deb, in helping us make sure that for all the projects of Bent Tree, we always have, or Lake and Wildlife, we always have the adequate funding. Thank you.
I'm loud, so I can do this without the microphone, I think. Dara was talking about the fish fry being a thank you, and I want to start by saying Tamarack Treasures, our most recent fundraising event, was a tremendous success once again, thanks to the village of people that participate in that. A lot of it happens behind the scenes and y'all don't see it, but there are folks that start months out collecting and storing and advertising. So for all of you that participated in any way, whether or not you were hauling boxes of stuff or sorting through stuff, donating stuff, shopping, sharing the word with friends and neighbors, thank you so much. That's a lot of money that goes to support the projects that we're talking about in here today. If you're interested in getting involved with that, we'd love to grow the village. There's a sign-up sheet over here if you haven't already given us your name and contact information. Or if you are interested in getting involved in any of the other fundraisers that Lake and Wildlife does, the hanging baskets, the day at Whispering Springs, the poinsettia sale that'll be coming up this fall. We're looking at a potential new fundraiser that should be fun. But if you're interested or any of that sounds good, there's another sign-up sheet over there. We'd love to bring you on board with any of that. Dara had mentioned the sheet sales. Just a reminder that we have an ongoing sheet sale fundraiser. Okay, should have had that second cup of coffee. And something that I did not know, we make a portion of the proceeds from all the sheets, and it's a nice portion too. There's sample colors up there that we brought in. There's flyers you can take home that have the URL that you can type in to order them with. I brought a set of sheets in that we ordered so you can open them up, feel them, see what they are like. But you can share that link with anybody. It's not limited to Bent Tree residents. So friends, family, everybody you know, pass that on, because when they shop, we get money. So we would love to get that from them. Last thing, another ongoing fundraiser that we have. We realize through Tamarack Treasures we only have this one room to operate in. So your bedroom sets, your dining room sets, your kayaks, your canoes, unfortunately we don't have the room to either store them or to display them during the sale. But we'd love to sell them and get the proceeds from them. So if you have a large item that you'd like to donate, we have an online sale fundraiser that we do. So we would ask you to hang on to your item at your house, shoot us some pictures, and we will post it online and do our best to sell it and raise some additional funds for Lake and Wildlife. So anyhow, if you have questions about any fundraising, see me and I'll get those questions to Mary Ada when she gets back. So
Great. Thank you, Deb. All right, so I want to announce habitat conservation. Y'all may be familiar with a group of, within Lake and Wildlife, one of the subcommittees was called Forest Conservation. And this group is getting re-energized and changing our name to Habitat Conservation because the habitat is the natural home or environment of any living thing, and conservation is preserving and protecting and restoring that. So short mission for habitat conservation is protecting the home place. So that is what we are about. The goals, we've been talking about it. So I would also offer, if anybody has a heart for this sort of effort and would like to become involved in the subcommittee, right now we've got myself, Rick, Barbara Collier, Dan Lambert, and Hugh Hassel. That's the 5 who are participating, but anybody else that wants to become involved, please see me or Rick and get involved in this. We've established, some goals of protecting the watershed and a lot about wildlife, food, and shelter. We've been looking at habitat restoration along our roadways and the common areas, looking to really partner with the Architectural Control Committee, with BTCI Operations and Grounds, with the LAD Committee, and trying to pull together and always have an eye as things evolve and change in Bentry. We have opportunities to reseed areas, say, where the water pipes have been worked or, dug up and the ground is disturbed, instead of only having a fast-growing seed, which is what the water department would put down, adding some better quality seed that provides better forage into those seed mixes. So things like that, they seem like low-hanging fruit for things that could be done to improve our habitat and make food available for wildlife. And as Eldon was talking about for the wild turkeys, looking at the wildlife that we have here, turkeys, deer, bear, small mammals, songbirds, all of the things that we want to thrive in our community. So these are reasons why you might, care if you care about the lake and the silt in the lake and fishing in the lake. The habitat in our entire watershed influences the water quality of the lake and the runoff into the lake. All of the habitat influences our wildlife's ability to thrive, what sort of shelter they have for reproduction, what sort of food is available to them. If you care about our drinking water, you should care about the habitat because it filters the drinking water and does a lot to make the water quality that we have maintainable. And aesthetics, just our native trees are what provide our beautiful fall color. And some of the invasive species of Paulownia trees that we have, their leaves turn brown and fall off. So if we have more and more of certain invasive tree species, we won't have the fall color here that we all adore. So there's so many reasons from different angles that may motivate you more than other reasons, but all reasons to care about our habitat. And we have, so bringing the children into this, we have Gigi, who's going to give her opinion about why it matters and what she wants to say to us.
Snag is a standing dead tree that animals live in and insects. I think adults should know that the environment's really important, and snags and animals and insects and all that. It's important.
It is important. And the kids just say it right to the point, right? They want adults to know that they care. It matters. Okay, just a little aside, I want to, and this is also a little preview of some things that we're going to hear in future presentations going to our September presentation with an expert in the watershed and the geology of our area. But I don't know if you know that Pickens County, which is outlined in black, this is a physiographic region map. And the physiographic region is the geology of the place, sort of the rocks, the mountains, the formations, the topography, and we're right at the edge. And, I would love one day have the time to really dig into the exact latitude and longitude of these things, because this corner of Pickens County and all of Pickens County actually spans 4 distinctly different physiographic regions. It's quite varied, and you can tell, when you're driving down from Big Stump, you going into Jasper, I mean, you're in a different sort of topography. It's just a different place. But here, I believe we're right at this edge of the Blue Ridge physiographic region, and this is the easternmost part of the Appalachians, and we're at the southern tip of that. And the terrain here is typified by thin, rocky soils. So I know if you stay in touch with anything in social media for Bent Tree lately, you've heard about some of the impact of thin, rocky soils, which has to do with trees falling. To some extent, that's the nature of the physiographic region that we're in. And so I think, I'm reminded of this story. I don't know if anybody's heard of David Foster Wallace. He did a commencement speech, and he tells a story about two young fish that are swimming along, and an older fish swims by the other direction and said, "Hey, fellas, how's the water?" And they swim a little further, and the young fish turns to the other young fish and said, "What the hell is water?" Point being, they don't. It's pervasive. It's just around you. You don't appreciate it. You don't define it. You don't see it. And I worry that because in Bent Tree, our natural environment is, it's just there when we look out our windows. It's there as we drive down the road, that we lose the appreciation of it. Our plant community, our dominant plant community here in Bent Tree is the Appalachian oak forest, okay? So what does that mean? That is a typical forest in the Blue Ridge region. It grows up to 3,500 feet. It's dominated by many varieties of oaks, white pines, hickories, red maple, tulip trees, black gum, black locust, ash. Sound familiar? These are the trees that we have out there. Shrubs, we have very acidic soils. Shrubs are mountain laurel, rhododendron, the deerberry, blueberry, wild blueberry, those types of shrubs. And ground layer, mostly ferns and wildflowers. I mean, I think this is pretty, spot on what we have here. We have certain, down in our valleys, co-forest and balds up on the tops where the soil is completely blown off. We have rocky balds. And I think when you look at this and the current status of our woodlands and some of the negative, and I truly don't want to sound like, I think this is apocalyptic or anything. We have a beautiful woodland, but some of the negative or the drag on it or the problems that we don't want to ignore. Bent Tree was pretty much clear cut, as I understand it. We were heavily logged, and there wasn't an active plan for regeneration. It was logged and it was just allowed to grow up, right? Well, that means that all of the trees are roughly the same age. So they fought. There was a lot of competition, a lot of sunlight. And when you look at trees and the oak trees, the trees that we have, a truly healthy tree, or the best, would be ones like you might see out in the middle of a field. You've seen an oak tree where there's a small trunk and then a very rounded crown that starts here and goes all the way up, as opposed to our trees are straight and tall and they have a crown that just goes like this. They're not wide. It's because their whole life they've fought for sun and they've been in competition. That's not a particularly productive for mast, for acorns. They grew fast, so they don't necessarily have the deepest, strongest root system either. It also, once they matured, which, I don't know, 50, 70 years. When did the logging occur, Chris? Like in the 70s? Right. 1970. When was it logged here? 60s?
No, not been looking at the maps. There was a giant wildfire that happened in Bent Tree. It took out 2,500 acres
Oh, wow.
in 1935.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what started the regeneration then, instead of logging. But what we have now is a mature canopy, right? There's not a lot of sunlight to the ground, and that hurts our understory layer. We've suppressed fire all across the East Coast. Fire it's not good, right? Smokey the Bear, Only you can prevent forest fires, and we've generally thought of them as bad. And only in the more recent years have we discovered like some of the negative or the downside of suppressing forest fires. It creates a thick, humid leaf litter layer that suppresses turnover in the forest. The deer browse pressure, a lot of debate about that, but it certainly doesn't help for regeneration. Now, whether the deer are all to blame for lack of an understory, I don't think so. I think when you say, well, what causes the current situation? Well, it's all of the above, right? Lack of fire, mature canopy, lack of sunlight, deer browse pressure, and invasives. Invasives have a foothold, or are getting a bigger foothold in insects, ash borer. There's the gypsy moth, which impacts oak trees. So there's paulownia trees, stilt grass. I had to throw that one in. Y'all know how I feel about that. So it's these are all negative. They're things that are stressing our woodland environment. They generally have a negative impact in terms of the availability of acorns and forage and food for our wildlife. Okay, so we're going to turn for the rest of the program and talk a little bit about snags and deadfall, which is something that, in my opinion, is a positive for our forest. Not across our power lines, not across our houses, right, or our roads, but in general in the forest, snags, which is a tall, standing, dead or dying tree, and deadfall are logs, which is once they hit the ground. And this is where the kids are really going to help us tell the story of why these matter. And these are a positive force in our forest. So one thing, I'm going to show a video. Barbara leads the Nature Explorer program, and she does a great job of setting the stage for the kids and helping them always understand how to be safe in the forest. And this is a video that I think is, I didn't know this. It's interesting in terms of if you want to look under a log, how you go about it.
So when you do, if you're in a forest and you want to look and see what's underneath the fallen logs, what you'll have to do is roll it towards you. That way you're protecting yourself, and anything that runs is going to run the opposite way.
Simple, right? Makes all the sense in the world. I never thought about it. Okay, and this is Abby, who's going to tell us why she likes snags.
I like snags because they provide homes for pileated woodpeckers, insects, and bunnies.
Awesome.
That's quite a range of things that they have homes for. Pileated woodpeckers, insects, and bunnies. All right on. Thanks, Abby. So what are dead trees good for? A place to live. They provide homes, as Abby said. The pileated woodpeckers make hollow out nests. They are a primary cavity nester, which means they make their own homes, but many other types of birds, bluebirds, chickadees, they take advantage of those nests. And woodpeckers always make more than they actually need. And a food source. So a snag is a literal buffet of insects. The insects are the things that loosen the bark and help the wood decay, and the animals take advantage of that. They eat it. A crow's nest, you can see raptors, owls, hawks, perched, eagles, osprey perched on the tops, and they can see clearly. They don't have to worry about when they take off if they see prey flying through the leaves. So it provides a perch for our birds of prey to see what they might be looking for. In the lake, a resting place, so turtles, for turtles to bask in the sun. I mean, you've probably seen them at Lake Tamarack, and they're cool. As soon as they see you, they all dive back into the lake, but if you can sneak up on them, they're very cool to see out in the sunshine. A hiding place, those same nooks and crannies are good places for wildlife to hide, as well as to store food underneath the bark because it's loosened on the trees, so they put seeds and acorns and things in it. I know, like if you have a bird feeder out, you may see like, how could they possibly be eating this much sunflower seeds? You know, it'll be disappeared in a half a day. Well, they're probably not eating a lot of it. They're storing it. They're coming back and storing it in the trees. And a soil refresher, as the snag falls and becomes a log and decomposes, it returns nitrogen to the soil. And the half-decayed log acts as what they call nurse logs. So the seedlings just really use the nutrients in that to regenerate the next generation of trees. So you can see that when we talk about beauty in the forest, and you know, we may have a certain idea of what that should look like, and maybe we don't want a 12-foot tall root ball right outside of our back door, right? But in general, I think beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so to speak. So when you know what the benefit and the contribution of the snags and the logs are, they're a lot easier to get excited when you see them on the side of the road and up in the woods, instead of feeling like, oh, I wish that we could clean this up. You know, that's hopefully not the first thought, unless it's right outside your back door, right, or in your front yard. I get that. There's no audio on this. This is just a video of us over at the Nature Center with the kids in a recent Nature Explorer program looking at a snag. And as you can see, the various decomposition of that, how the bark here is mostly removed. And we were looking underneath to see what was underneath. There were beetles. We got into this and someone decided that it was insects laying eggs. So we didn't want to disturb that process, and we tucked the bark back up against the tree. But you know, the kids are excited to look at what's going on in there and explore the snag. And this is a tree at like sort of in the middle level. It's still standing. This is out, if you look in the Nature Center, it's off to your right toward the lake. And you can see the snag. It's a beautiful snag. It's still got enough structure to it. It's probably about 12 or 15 feet tall. And you can see how it's decomposing. You get a real good sense of the process of decomposition that happens with the snag. I love how the kids just like to get up close and see, and they're not worried about what's going to jump out of that. So let's see. So the stages of a snag: a live tree, and then a declining tree, and then a dead tree, and then the bark loosens as insects get in there, and then the tree is considered clean when all the bark has fallen off. Then it's broken in that all the limbs fall off and usually just have that one straight trunk. And then it's considered decomposed when the heartwood is decomposed. Usually will be down at that point. It will fall over as a log, but usually it falls in pieces. So it's not one big, fall, a limb, another limb, and then a top. And so it comes down in chunks. Eventually it will become a stump. And then it will become soil and grow another tree. So the life cycle starts over. So here's another rolling of the log to actually see what's underneath it.
Pick this up with my feet right here? No. Okay, now, the closer you are to water, the more likely you'll find things like salamanders.
Oh, that's cool.
We got some larvae here.
Some over here too.
We got some fungi doing its job. Well, let's stay together. So these almost look like, look at here.
Because you're paying attention. Look, there's something moving. You see, I'm not too close.
Come here, Abby.
Because it's fast.
Let's get the microscope
It
out.
might have been a tiger beetle. It moved so quickly.
I saw something like
It was
a red
Fawn looked at.
Okay, so let's look at these little workers.
Oh
Okay, they are going through a hole that's been bored. Okay, they went and hid right here. This is showing how the holes in the fallen logs.
What's that red thing?
That is a bug.
It's exactly what we're looking for. No, we don't want to touch that.
So you can see we have a lot of fun with the kids, and they're up close and personal and really taking a look at nature and things that they may just have run by before and not noticed. So when we left there, we were looking for more snags, and there are some beautiful snags at Sally Doss and really anywhere here. This one is right across from the stream, and you see that is a pileated woodpecker fledgling in that tree. And there's another version of it. And this was within the past couple weeks or month maybe. I think he's gone now from his nest, as far as we could tell, there was only one. But it's so cool to see that right here. That was right across the way the new trail cuts across Lower Sally Doss by the stream. You can see the tree, maybe not the woodpecker anymore. And that's a still picture of the baby, so you get a better look at it. And I just was going to play some sounds for the woodpecker. I don't know, maybe everybody knows what a woodpecker sounds like, but maybe you've not associated the woodpecker with these sounds. Yeah, woodpecker. Even if you don't know what that is, I know you've heard it. They have 4 calls. I only have 2 of them here. This one is the drumming. Oh. Oh. That's a woodpecker. They typically do that to defend their territory, let other woodpeckers know, hey, my spot is part of their mating ritual to, I don't know, maybe how loud you drum or your particular rhythm and drumming. I'm not sure what they find attractive about what particular aspect of it is attracting, but those are woodpeckers. Okay, so this is Forrest, and he's going to talk to us about bears. Okay, so I know we love bears, right? Endless bear pictures, bear videos, bear sightings. Everybody loves our bears. Our bears need to eat, right? A lot of what they eat is grubs that are in logs. So if we picked up all the dead wood in the woods, the bears would really suffer. They wouldn't have food, one of their primary food sources.
Bears like to eat bugs that live in logs. Bears like to eat bugs. Bears like to eat bugs that live in logs. Bears like to eat bugs that live in logs.
You know what they also like to do for us?
That was Dara playing with the video and making a little rap for Forrest. Bears like to eat bugs that live in logs. I think that, we just can't say it enough. We love the bears. If we love the bears, we need to love the logs that the grubs live in, the insects live in, that provide a large part of their diet. Okay, so now I'm going to read you this story. Because sometimes you do presentation, you pour your heart into working with kids or adults, and sometimes you wonder, did it matter? Did they get it? Did they hear me? Did they understand? Will they make a difference? And this did my heart good. Carol brought this book to me that Forrest had written after going through the Nature Explorer. And I don't think, Barbara, you've heard that. I bet you cried. I did, but I was just great. Okay, it's called The Animals in the Tree. Once upon a time, there was a very ugly, tall, and sad tree. He looked different from the other trees. The other trees made fun of him. Years passed, and the tree just kept getting uglier. And that means that the trees would bully him more. But he thought that it was better that there was only 2. Apparently, there were only 2 that were bullying him. They called him naked. Even more years passed, and the other trees died. Over time, birds started to fly by him. He didn't like that. One of them started to peck him. Hey, cut it out, he said. A couple days later, some beetles started to make pathways. It tickled as the beetles crawled through him. He started to wonder, why are these animals going inside me? Am I special? And then 5 days passed. He enjoyed the view and kept getting tickled by the beetles like usual, until one day a snake was climbing the tree. The snake was trying to eat the woodpecker's eggs, and the monkey was eating the beetles. The next day, a centipede and a spider came. The spider made a web for himself. The centipede fell asleep on a branch. The next day, a man came with an axe. He wanted to cut the tree down. So the animals scared him away. The end. I love this. Isn't this great? This is an 8-year-old boy who wrote this book and who wrote this story. And I just feel like he hit all the key points. I mean, they're in there. That the snag wasn't the prettiest tree in the forest. Maybe we think we don't want it. It took years to decompose. It was there for a while. It provided a habitat for many animals, right? And it needed to be protected. So I feel like he was obviously paying attention, and he hit all the highlights in this book. So I appreciate it. He is 8. Forrest is 8 years old. So I would say consider leaving snags. If you have trees taken down, right? I understand we need to take trees down. Some of them are hazards. Consider asking your tree service to leave it as a snag. It as 10 foot tall. Just take the top off and leave it as a standing dead tree, and you'll see. If you want to attract wildlife to your yard, you want to feed the birds, right? It's a great alternative to bird feeders because all the insects will be there and all the birds will benefit from the snag. So, and it's no longer a danger at that height, right, of falling and doing damage. So consider making snags out of trees when you do need to remove them. So I think that is the end of my presentation. I appreciate y'all coming. Barbara?
If you do like a snag, feel free to send me a message. There's tons of vines, so we can use native vines that will decorate your snag. Okay, so it'll be a benefit to the mammals, to the birds, insects. So snags are really good for us. And I can decorate them.
Yeah, great. Awesome. And one more thing I want to point out. This was another piece of artwork that the kids made. It's telescoping binoculars. So Emery, who is Forrest's sister, made these. So this is the kind of fun we have. Encourage your neighbor's kids, your grandkids. You know, if you want to help out with one of the programs, like Huff is doing the fishing, you know, if you have an idea, let us know. Anything because you could tell the kids, they get it. They really do understand. So thanks for participating today. All right. Remember, no meeting next week, right? Next month. Yeah, not next week or next month. And we'll be here in August.